All righty, welcome to the Zach and Bo Show. This is last week we did miss going over week four and getting into our week five prediction. So real quick, I'll just give the results to week four. We both actually went 10-6 that week. I feel like that week was not quite as an eventful a week of football as week five was. So we'll kind of get into this. But yeah, so anyway, heading into week five, there was a ton of crazy games this week, and that Packers game about gave me a heart attack. So Bo, I'll ask you, what's something that really stood out to you this week?
Um, this last week, I think I don't know. I think a couple big things that we'll see impacting this NFL is Russell Wilson getting hurt. I think is going to be really tough for Seattle to put themselves in a position to be a playoff team. Um, I think the Chargers and Browns both looked pretty good this week. They had a really good game. Um, I don't know. The Arizona San Francisco game wasn't quite like I expected. I was surprised that it was so low scoring. And then going into the final game of the week, Indianapolis looked really good against Baltimore until towards the end, and then Baltimore obviously, turned it on, came back and upset them. But those were a couple like surprising things to me this last week.
I mean, yeah, that game. I mean, they had the illegal forward pass that wasn't illegal forward pass that negated that touchdown. That completely changed the whole. I didn't get to watch much of that game, but I saw a recap of that, and that was ridiculous. There was a lot of ref ball this weekend I saw, so that was really annoying. Just
Oh man, yeah.
you hate to see the refs like completely change the pace of the game and everything. So that was annoying. Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we saw Pittsburgh beat Denver, further proving that Denver was not a very good team. They just had a cake schedule the first 3 weeks. Like I said, they kind of made it a game
Yeah.
towards the end, but still, Pittsburgh is not a good team, and Pittsburgh dominated most of that game. And then the Minnesota Detroit game, that was just sad. You want to, I mean, I'm obviously not a Lions fan, but you want to see them get a win, and uh, that had to be heartbreaking, just completely
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, so yeah, and then Philadelphia beating Carolina, that one really surprised me. I would say Chicago
Oh yeah.
beating Vegas surprised me, but considering everything that's going on there, I'm not surprised. That's a whole mess right now. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Las Vegas going forward, but they looked like a playoff team for those first 3 weeks, but I don't think they are anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them being able to, you know, kind of gel together the remainder of the season. And, I don't know. It's going to be hard to kind of go along with, and it's
Mhm.
going to be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do. Like I said, and then I mean, I'll talk the Packers Bengal game. It was one of the worst games I've ever had to sit through. I hated every second of it, but missing like 4 field goals. I've never seen
Oh
anything
yeah.
quite like it. Except I remember there was that I think it was a Monday or Sunday night game where like a few years back, I think it was Seattle and Arizona where everyone missed field goals and they ended up tying like 6-6 or something. That game was
Oh,
it kind of reminded me of that game a little bit towards the end, but Packers somehow pulled it out, and the Bengals are a good team this year. I think like I said, that whole division besides the Steelers is tough. So I mean, I'm happy they pulled out a win against the Bengals. They're no joke this year. Jamar Chase is an absolute stud, and Joe Burrow is of course very good. So it was a good
oh yeah.
game. Glad they pulled it out, but man, that game was just the worst. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and then it does suck to see Russell Wilson go down. I mean, the I don't see the Seahawks having much of a chance of being any sort of contender
Yeah.
the rest of this year without him. He's their whole team. Their roster just kind of sucks besides him. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough, because I feel like he was the only, piece, not the only piece. Obviously, they have a couple really talented players, but he is just such an important piece to keep them competitive, with offensive line issues, defense looking bad, etc. And I don't know, just without him, I just don't see them being able to really get anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So what team surprised you the most this week in either a positive or a negative way?
Um, Let me think. Hmm. So, like you had kind of mentioned, I think I was pretty shocked that Philadelphia beat Carolina.
Mhm.
I don't know if that is gonna. I'm not gonna go with that as like my most surprising, but that was pretty surprising. For me, I would honestly, even though they lost, I would probably say Cincinnati, because I just haven't been fully convinced with them yet. Like, I'm just kind of going back and forth, but I think the Packers are a good team. I think they have a lot of talent, and I realistically predicted the Packers to win pretty, not like by crazy margin, but definitely a convincing win. And so I was impressed with Cincinnati.
Mhm.
I think they got a lot of good things going for them going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was genuinely surprised by. I mean, I know they were playing the Giants, but I hate the Cowboys. But Dallas looks like one of the best teams there is, one of the best teams in the league right now. I hate to say it, but man, they just tore apart the Giants. I know Daniel Jones went down for like through the game, so that kind of sucks. But I mean, Dallas is looking good. I mean, both Cleveland and the Chargers. I mean, that game just surprised me because it was so high scoring. I mean, you
Yeah,
got
absolutely.
you got Brandon Staley, he's a defensive guy, but his offense is what's booming for the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's a stud, obviously, but it's surprising to see a game that was just so um, offense heavy when they kind of have a defensive minded coach, and I think the Browns do have a pretty good defense. That was crazy to see. And like I said, yeah, Philadelphia beating Carolina, didn't see that one coming. I mean, I still think Carolina's a pretty decent team. And the Eagles, I don't know what to make of them. Sometimes they look good, the times they just look terrible.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so who knows? But who knows what we'll see. And this week, you went 12-4, I went 10-6, and we're both 53-27 on the year. So after 5 weeks, we are tied. So that's kind of crazy.
Neck and neck.
Connect. We'll see who ends up on top. So, but yeah, it was a pretty good week. Got to catch a couple games. Got the Packers, and then I got the Sunday night game, which was a lot of fun. So it was a good week. I'm really looking forward to this coming week. I know, excited. The Packers have their second divisional rival, and I'm looking for other teams to get back on track. So moving on to week 6. Tell me what game you are most looking forward to.
Week 6. The game I'm looking forward to the most. I don't know. It's realistically, I think there's two games that are gonna like catch my eye, and I'm gonna have a hard time picking which game. But I think the Chargers and Ravens game, and then the Browns and Cardinals game. I think both of those games are going to be very telling for, I mean, all of those teams. I really think that's going to show kind of where, because we're looking at four pretty good teams, but we're looking at, how long can they sustain that success? We've seen the Cardinals and the Chargers both start off super high, in previous years and then fall apart, as they go forward. So we're gonna see kind of strong testing. Cleveland kind of the same way. We know they have a lot of talent, but I think we're gonna see a lot from them. I think Baker is kind of holding them back personally. I think they have so much talent that they could be better. But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna see some really good games there. So yeah, like I said, Chargers, Baltimore will be one to watch, and then Arizona and Cleveland will really, those two are really sticking out to me.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really looking forward to the Monday night game, Buffalo versus Tennessee. I think that'll be an interesting one. I mean, Buffalo's going to win pretty handily, but it'll be interesting how that defense handles Derrick Henry. So I'm interested to see that one for sure. Tampa Bay, Philadelphia that could be an interesting one. I mean, again, it's just kind of interesting. I kind of want to see the matchup, but we already kind of know who's going to win. And then,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think Kansas City and Washington could be I don't think it'll be another one. I think it'll be an interesting matchup, but I don't really know if it'll be a good game or not. I think Kansas City is going to come out angry, obviously, and they're going to probably beat them by a solid, 10, 15 points. So I don't see that. But yeah, I think Chargers versus the Ravens is definitely my most anticipated. That seems like the most interesting matchup. And like I said, I think Arizona gets their first loss this week against Cleveland. I really do. I think Cleveland's played well enough to they'll keep pace with the Ravens. They'll keep pace with Arizona, and Arizona really showed this last week that they can be slowed down. And obviously the 49ers were
Yeah.
starting Trey Lance for the first week, and he didn't do amazing. So I think that you can slow down Arizona's offense, and I think Cleveland will be able to do it. And if not, they'll be able to keep pace with them offensively. So I think that'll be a good one. And I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland in this instance.
Nice. Yeah, one of the games you mentioned, Buffalo and Tennessee, that is going to be an interesting game. Because last year, it wasn't as big of a gap, but last year, Buffalo and Tennessee, I remember Buffalo was predicted to pretty heavily win that game. And I don't know if you remember, but Tennessee embarrassed them. They beat them 42-16. And so it is going to be interesting to kind of see how it goes. But in my personal opinion, Tennessee has looked bad this entire year. And I just don't see them putting up a huge fight. I think it's probably going to be a pretty closed game, right at the end of the first quarter. It's probably going to be decided. But I guess we'll see.
You could be right on that. And then, they played well last week, but they're playing Jacksonville. So you really never know. Jacksonville's terrible. Although I could see them. I think they have an outside shot at getting their first win this week against Miami. Miami's also looked just horrendous. So they have an outside shot at getting their first win this weekend. So who really knows? Also interesting that Las Vegas plays Denver this week. The two teams that they both started out 3-0 and then now are 3-2. That looks pretty good at the beginning, but are just falling apart and aren't what we thought they were. So that'll be an interesting matchup for sure. So yeah, and then Packers Bears. I'm obviously going to be watching that one. I'm excited for it. I think that the Packers will handle the Bears fairly easily. I think Justin Fields. He didn't look too bad this last weekend, but I think the Packers will be able to handle him. It's a divisional opponent, so they'll probably hang in there, but I think the Packers will win this one pretty handily.
Yeah, I don't think the Fields and the Bears overall are quite ready to, steal a game from the Packers.
No, I don't think so. So yeah, so we'll go over our predictions real quick. So for Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, I'm going Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going Tampa Bay as well.
And then Miami, Jacksonville, I'll bite. I'll pick the Jaguars.
I was wanting to pick the Jaguars as well. I really want to see Trevor Lawrence get his first win, but realistically, I'm going to have to go Miami. I've picked Jacksonville a couple times this year, and they just I don't know. The only game that realistically they looked okay in was the Bengals game, which I was super surprised. But I can't pick them. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I just can't do it.
The Bengals seem to just play everyone close, so I don't know if that's really an indicator of them actually being a decent team. So, but I think they could get their first win. I just hope they do. So I'll pick them. And then Green Bay, Chicago, I'm assuming both Green Bay.
Yes, definitely Green Bay. Going back one quick second to the Miami-Jacksonville game, I'm pretty sure Tua is activated now, so he might be playing as well. And I think if he is, I think that is a huge favor for Miami.
Could be. Tua hasn't looked super impressive, but it'll probably help him. So maybe I'm probably being stupid picking Jacksonville, but I have a little bit of hope, I guess. Yeah, the two Florida teams playing each other in London. That'll be interesting. Or two of the Florida teams. Then Cincinnati, Detroit. I'm going to pick Cincinnati, but like I said, Detroit's been hanging in there. It just hasn't gone their way in any of their games. And Cincinnati's played every team super close. So I could see Detroit getting their first win and pulling one out here. maybe. I'd say maybe like a 10% chance. So, but I'm gonna pick Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going Cincinnati as well. I do want to see Detroit have some success because I like some of their players, and Campbell seems to really care about the team and everything.
Oh yeah, that was
But
a great
I
press
mean,
conference.
it's been pretty crazy because every single game, I feel like they've legitimately been in the game until
Yeah,
decently late,
yeah.
and then they just can't get it done.
Mhm.
I just think
Yeah.
Cincinnati's too good right now.
Yeah, I agree. They'll find a way to win. Then Houston, Indiana. I mean, Indiana's probably the best 1-4 team ever. So I'm gonna go with I'll go or Indianapolis. I'll go the Colts. Houston, I know they had a good game and almost beat the Patriots, but they're just not a good team. So I'm gonna go the Colts.
Yeah, Colts pretty favorable in my opinion.
Right, and then Rams, Giants. Again, Rams. The Giants are just falling apart. Ooh, I'm not sure I can't remember how serious the injury to Daniel Jones was, but if he's not back, I think it'll be even worse. But I think either way, the Rams take this one.
I think Daniel Jones should play this week. Saquon will be out though, so I think that's gonna. I think I just I don't know. They've had so many injuries this year. Darius Slayton got hurt, Sterling Shepard got hurt, so like they've had a couple. I think they're going to start seeing some playmakers come back. But even with those playmakers, a fully healthy Giants team just I don't think can compete with the Rams.
No. And then Kansas City, Washington. Again, Washington's defense has been horrible. Mahomes and company, even though the Kansas City's defense hasn't been great either, Mahomes and company is going to tear up that defense easily. I mean, I could see it being like a 42-27 type game. So I think Kansas City is going to take care of that one pretty easily.
Yeah, I'd like to see a win for Kansas City as well. It's going to be interesting to see. So yeah, I'm rolling Kansas City on that.
And then Minnesota, Carolina, another one that I think could be really close. I'm going to give Carolina the edge, like 51-49. But again, that's another crazy close one. Carolina hasn't looked impressive the last 2 weeks, and Minnesota always hangs in there. All their games are super close. They actually, despite they've lost their games, but they have a positive point differential. So I could see Minnesota taking this one easily, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Carolina wins in a ridiculously close one.
Yeah. This one's really tough for me actually because like in my mind I want to say Minnesota. Like I don't know. It's just something about like it's just Minnesota. They're gonna win. But I don't know why. But with Christian McCaffrey coming back, I'm gonna lean Carolina. I'm gonna predict Carolina, but like you said, I mean, I could realistically see that one going either way.
Mhm.
Probably going to end up being Minnesota since I picked Carolina, but
Yeah.
going to be a close one.
I mean, I hope the Vikings lose. Can't stand the Vikings, but I could see going either way. But I'm going to pick Carolina. So then we got Baltimore versus the Chargers. That's such a tough one. I mean, I think LA is the better team, but Lamar Jackson's going to keep him in that game. And if it's super close towards the end, you just never know. So I'm going to take LA. I think they're the better team with the better roster, but you just never know when you're playing Baltimore.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that, especially with a couple key parts for Baltimore being gone. However, I'm gonna roll with Baltimore with an upset. I don't know. I think they're just kind of clicking right now. I don't know. I have a feeling they're gonna upset at home.
Yeah. I mean, I could easily see that. Like I said, that's another 51-49 game. I mean, I can't believe that's a noon game. I mean, that's a crazy exciting game. That should be at least a later slot game, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what'll happen there? And then we got Cleveland versus Arizona. This is an upset I'm taking. Well, I don't know if it's really an upset, but I think Cleveland gives Arizona their first loss. I think Arizona, they're still a top 5 team in the league right now. You can't take it away from them, but I think their winning streak ends here.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I'm picking Cleveland as well. And when I first chose them, I was like, this is going to be a pretty ridiculous pick. Most people are going to go Cardinals. But, it's nice to hear that there's some people that believe in it as well. I don't know. I think Cleveland has an overall, in my opinion, has an overall more solid roster.
Mhm.
I without Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, it's kind of tough. But I
Yeah.
mean, they just have such a good offensive line.
Yeah.
They have the best running back duo in the NFL.
Yeah.
They have a decent, defense. I don't know. I'm predicting Cleveland to surprise this week.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I still, like I said in my rankings, I'll have Arizona ahead of Cleveland, but I just got a feeling Cleveland's going to pull it out this week for whatever reason. I just think that
Yeah.
Arizona's win streak ends here. So we'll go Denver, Las Vegas. In normal circumstances, I'd probably take Vegas, but right now I'm taking Denver. Like with everything going on with Vegas, I just can't. I can't pick them to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tough call for me. I originally picked the Raiders because I don't know. I think they are a better team, but with how this week played out, I think Denver's probably gonna get the win. I just overall they should be a more complete team at least this week.
Yeah.
But if the Raiders win, I won't be shocked at all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but especially with everything going on and it being in Denver, them having to travel on top of everything that's going on, I just don't see it going Vegas's way this week. But
yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled it out. I mean, they got a good roster, but like I said, I just think it's too much of a hill to climb for the Raiders this week. So then we got New England versus Dallas. I'm taking Dallas, but you can never take the Patriots out of it. So like I said, I could see this one going either way, even though Dallas has been a fantastic team this year. And I'm just gonna pick Dallas because I think we got the better roster. But like I said, with Belichick in New England, who knows?
Definitely think Dallas, but I do think it's going to be a closer game than what some people might expect.
I mean, they played the Bucks within 2 points. I
Yeah.
mean, they just always hang around in games, even if they don't pull it out in the end. So, like I said, it could
Yeah.
come down to the wire, so you never know. And then Seattle versus Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football, possibly like the worst Sunday Night Football matchup I've seen in a long time. Like Russell Wilson is not in, and he's playing against a terrible Steelers team. I think I'll pick the Steelers because Russell Wilson's not in, but I don't care about this game, and it sucks it's on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think when they scheduled it, in the beginning of the year, they probably thought, well, Pittsburgh was a decent team last year.
Yeah.
Seattle has Russell Wilson; it's going to be a good game. But like you said, without Russell Wilson and some of the problems Steelers have been having, it's going to be a sloppy game. But I think Pittsburgh's probably going to win pretty handedly. Just Geno Smith's just not going to get it done.
No, and then we got Buffalo versus Tennessee on Monday night. This is super easy, Buffalo. Like I said, I want to see how the Buffalo defense handles Derrick Henry, but overall, Buffalo, spoiler for our power rankings, Buffalo's the best team in the league right now, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah, I'm rolling Buffalo as well for sure.
All righty. So there's our predictions, and lastly, we'll go ahead and get into our power rankings. Would you like to go first or me?
Yeah, I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All righty. So at number 5, I have the Chargers. And a lot of these, I don't know. I'm gonna have a hard time seeing them continue this throughout the year. But right now, power rankings: 5 Chargers, 4 Tampa Bay, 3 the Rams, 2 Cardinals, and 1 Buffalo.
We have the exact same top 5 in the exact same order.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So that kind of sucks. So honorable mention, I do think the Packers are the 6th best team, 6th or 7th. Them and Dallas are the 6th and 7th. I don't really know which order I'd put them, but those are the 6th and 7th best teams in the league. I genuinely think are those two. I think the Packers, while they could lose to anybody, could also beat anybody, and I think with Aaron Rodgers, they'll be just fine. They'll end up in the top 5 to 10 teams in the league. So I feel comfortable saying they're 6 or 7. Don't think they're as good as the teams that I put ahead of them. So yeah, since we got the same list, what are some honorable mentions you have?
Yeah, so actually the same ones you mentioned as well. Dallas and Green Bay were both really tough to not put in the top 5. I mean, because right now they could absolutely make case to be, 4 or 5.
Mhm.
So those two, and then also Cleveland. I think, Cleveland is absolutely a team that could be considered in the top 5.
Mhm.
And that's just for right now. I
Mhm.
think that's kind of 3 teams that, if you put in the top 5, it'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, Cleveland's a great team. I still think Kansas City's a good team. They got to get together this week, though. They've got 3 winnable games to prove that these next 3 weeks, and I really think that they need to go 3-0 in them. So, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not I'm not panicking for Kansas City. Um, their next 5 games, they got Washington, Tennessee, Giants, Green Bay, and Las Vegas. And so if they go 4-1 through that 5 stretch and they're sitting at 6-4, that's the exact record they had at week 10 when they won the Super Bowl.
But who do you think
So
they're gonna? Who do you think you're gonna? Who do you think they're gonna lose to, though? Who do you think they're gonna lose
I'm
to?
just saying that they'll go 4-1 if they go 4-1. I think they could go 5-0.
I'm just kidding.
I
I'm giving
think
you a hard
the
time.
only team that is even remotely good on that list is probably Tennessee. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, Tennessee.
But no, like that's my thing. It's like I'm not worried about Kansas City. And I know a lot of people are already jumping ship on it, but if you look back to the Chiefs Super Bowl year, I
Yeah.
won't go into it too crazy much, but if you look at week 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you look at the yards they gave up against Baltimore, Detroit, Indianapolis, and Houston, the same thing was said then, that the defense will never be able to win a championship.
Yeah.
They dropped 2 games to the Colts and the Texans in a row that year,
Yeah.
and they were looking really bad for that stretch.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think there's teams you can't count out. Even going back to like 2014. I remember week 4, the Chiefs beat the Patriots 41-14, and
Yeah.
Tom Brady got benched, and everyone was like, "Okay, Brady's done. The Patriots are done," and then they won the Super Bowl
Oh,
again.
I know.
So there's just teams and players that you just can't count out.
Brady, I'll never. I've learned to say Tom Brady and them. He's not done. Don't say that. Even if he looks bad for like
Yeah.
5 weeks, until he says he's never playing again, I'm not saying he's done. Like I don't want. I just don't
Oh
want to be
yeah,
wrong
for
again.
sure.
Yeah. Until he so. But yeah. So I think they'll be fine. Like I said, like they got 3. I mean, they could easily beat the Packers too. I mean, that could go either way. But they got 3 games coming up that they really should win pretty handily. So like I said, they should
Oh yeah,
by
for
at the
sure.
end of week 8, they should be 5-3, and then they'll be in a good situation. So, like I said, they still control their own destiny. I mean, based on their schedule, I don't see them winning less than 10 games. They'll be in the spot for a playoff. And then if they get into the playoffs, Mahomes, you just never know. I mean, they can score so many points so quickly, so they can be competitive with anyone. Am I a little worried about them? Yeah, a little bit, because like I said, haven't looked great, but they can easily turn it around. So yeah, so it should be a great week. I'm really excited to see what's ahead. And then yeah, tomorrow night, are you looking forward to the Eagles Bucks? I think it'll be a decent game, but who knows?
Oh yeah, I do want it to be a good game. Especially I think the Buccaneers are now missing Levante David as well, which is a pretty decent piece to their defense, although their defense has been pretty rough to start off
Oh
the
yeah.
season. Um I don't really see Philadelphia getting it done.
Tampa's too good. I mean, Philadelphia, they're fun to watch. And like I said, I was surprised to beat Carolina, but I don't see them pulling off an upset 2 weeks
Yeah,
in a row. All right.
for
Well, with
sure.
that, you got anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that kind of concludes the NFL talk.
All right. It should be a great week of football. Look forward to this. So we'll have this coming up soon. So we should have a show next week, and then coming up soon after this one, we're going to talk about Venom Let There Be Carnage. We both saw that, and we'll let you know our thoughts on that. So be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Okay. That was